When the Lilacs Bloom. In the quiet village of Bell Hollow, nestled between rolling hills and silver streams, lived a young woman named Alara. She was a schoolteacher known for her soft voice, gentle hands, and the way her laughter sounded like wind chimes in spring. Every morning, she would walk past the old lilac trees that lined the path to the schoolhouse, humming a melody she barely remembered learning. One day, a stranger arrived in the village, a man named Thomas. He was a former war photographer, seeking peace after years of chaos. He rented the small cottage next to Alara's and spent most of his time fixing the garden and taking photos of the countryside. His presence was quiet but comforting, like the first snow of winter or the distant call of an owl at dusk. Alara noticed him, of course. Everyone did. He had eyes that held 1,000 stories and a smile that hinted at pain and hope all at once. But he kept to himself, and Alara, respectful of silence, didn't push. Their first real conversation happened under the lilac trees. It was spring, and the flowers had begun to bloom. Alara had stopped to admire them when Thomas walked by, camera slung over his shoulder. "They only bloom for a few weeks," he said softly, surprising her. She turned to him. "Then we should make the most of them." From that day on, they met more often. Sometimes it was casual, passing in the market, sharing coffee at the village cafe, or tending to their gardens side by side. But other times, it was intentional. Thomas would walk Alara home after school, and she would leave wildflowers on his porch without a note. He began photographing her, not like a model, but like a story he was learning to read. Her hands as she taught children, her eyes as she watched sunsets, her smile when she thought no one was watching. One summer evening, as fireflies danced around them and the stars painted the sky in silver, Thomas finally told her his story. About the wars, the things he saw, the things he lost. And Alara listened, not with pity, but with understanding. She placed her hand over his and whispered, "You don't have to run from your past. You just have to walk with someone who doesn't mind carrying it with you." It was then that he kissed her, a soft, unsure kiss, like he was afraid she might disappear. But she didn't. They fell in love slowly, like rain soaking into dry earth. Not dramatic or sudden, but steady and nourishing. Years passed. They planted more lilac trees together, each one marking a memory: their first kiss, the day they adopted a stray dog, the afternoon he proposed with a ring tied around a lilac stem. When they were old, their garden bloomed in waves of purple and white every spring. Children in the village would run past and say, "That's where the love lives." And Alara would smile, leaning on Thomas's arm, saying, "Yes, it all began when the lilacs bloomed." Whispers beneath the old oak tree. On the edge of the quiet town of Elmridge stood an ancient oak tree, its massive limbs arching over a hidden meadow. The townsfolk said it had witnessed generations of love stories, secrets, and farewells. For Lily and Evan, it was the place where everything began. Lily was a soft-spoken artist who had just returned to Elmridge after studying in Paris. With paint-smeared hands and a heart full of dreams, she often wandered into the meadow to sketch the old oak. Evan, a former literature student turned bookshop owner, came every Sunday to read under the tree's shade. At first, they passed each other with shy nods and gentle smiles. But over time, those glances turned into conversations about art, poetry, and the small wonders of the world. One crisp autumn afternoon, as golden leaves fluttered around them like confetti, Evan brought her a book of Rainer Maria Rilke's poetry. "For your sketches," he said, "in case your hands ever need a little more inspiration." Lily smiled. "And for your soul," she replied, handing him a small canvas of the oak tree, painted in a soft blush of sunrise. Seasons changed, and so did their bond. Winters were spent bundled in blankets near Evan's fireplace, reading and painting together. Springs brought picnics beneath the blooming tree, where Evan would recite poems and Lily would trace his words into her sketchbook. The meadow became their sanctuary. But love, like life, is not without its storms. One rainy evening, Lily received news from Paris, an offer to display her work in a prestigious gallery. It was her dream, the one she had chased for years. But it meant leaving Elmridge and Evan. They sat beneath the oak tree the night before her departure. The sky wept with them. "I don't want to hold you back," Evan whispered. "You belong to the world." "But I belong with you," Lily said, her voice cracking. "You'll come back," he said softly, brushing a tear from her cheek. "And when you do, I'll be waiting, right here." 3 years passed. Letters came and went. Sometimes long and poetic, sometimes just a few words, "I miss you." Lily's art flourished, but every painting carried a shade of the meadow, the tree, and the boy who once gave her Rilke. Then one spring, Lily returned. She walked the familiar path, heart racing. The oak stood strong as ever. And beneath it, with a book in hand and an aging but warm smile, was Evan. "You came back," he said, standing up. "I never left," she whispered, wrapping her arms around him. And just like that, the old oak tree witnessed yet another story of love, quiet, patient, and everlasting.